I'm a 25-year-old guy, and I met my current girlfriend, who is 22 years old, at the beginning of 2022. We became really close. She identified herself as asexual and aromantic. During those months, she told me that with me, it was very different. She said she would never spend an entire party talking and kissing someone, but suddenly with me, she was doing that at every party. She said she loved me, and I loved her too. One day, we ended up fighting, but we had a party to go to later that day. We saw each other at that party and kissed again. Everything was fine, but to sum up the big drama, after that, she hooked up with a school friend she had reconnected with at the party. She spent the whole night with him, just as she would with me, smiling, talking, laughing, joking, kissing, and even ended up in the bathroom with him. That broke me. I had never felt so sad in my life. We clearly had something. She said that to me. She didn't do it out of spite or to get back at me for the misunderstanding. She wanted to do it. She confessed to me that she wanted to test that feeling they both shared in school. She wanted him. Fast forward to now, after a lot of effort, I managed to move past that and put things in order in my mind. I accepted what we were back then and what we became afterward. Until now. I just accidentally saw an audio message she sent to her best friend earlier this year while I was looking through their chat for a game link he had sent her. In that conversation, she was opening up to him after a discussion we had where I brought up the school friend again. She was talking about how I couldn't get over it and wasn't trying to. Then she tells him, and he doesn't even know that I kissed someone again after that night. It would be even worse if he knew, and laughs. Aside from that, she was talking about me in the worst way possible, and her friend was doing the same. I confronted her without telling her that I had proof first, and she tried to deny it with her life until I said, "There's no reason for you to deny it. I'm not bluffing. I know you did it. I don't know when or how, but I know you did, and I want you to tell me at least that." She confessed. It happened when she and some mutual friends went to a party, and I couldn't go. I just had stomach surgery and needed to rest. She then suddenly knocked on my door at 6 a.m. after the party, saying she kissed some random girl and wanted to tell me right away. That destroyed me again, and she said she couldn't confess she kissed him again that same night, then decided to bury it forever. She kissed that girl after she kissed him. She said to me that it was just a kiss, and they ended up arguing because at some point he said, "I'm so much better than your boyfriend, right?" And she got upset by that. I don't really believe her. God, I can't believe anything she ever said to me. What if they had intimacy? What if she lied about that too? Part of me is devastated and wants to end the relationship. That puts everything in doubt. At the end of 2022, I begged her to tell me everything so I could move on without anything left behind, so that nothing could haunt me in the future once I got over it. She swore she had. What should I do? I just need some light, some direction to think about, or something like that. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. She showed you her true self, and you need to take her actions at face value. She has no problem lying to you and deceiving you. To what end? Who knows, but you absolutely do not have to sit here and find out. As others have said, you have the ability to walk away and move on. End things on your own terms. Whatever confirmation you're waiting for, that things will magically go back to the way they were, will not happen. And you are deluding yourself if you think it will. For the sake of your mental health, walk away and never look back. Comment 2. She doesn't care about you. She's treating you as the afterthought of an afterthought. If my partner was recovering from surgery, I wouldn't be out cheating at a party. I wouldn't even be at a party. I'd be taking care of my partner. She's not an honest person, and you won't ever be able to trust her, even if she finds the value in being forward and honest, because she's already destroyed your relationship. Now for the update. A few weeks after the confrontation, I decided to take a step back from the relationship. I mean, what else was there to do? I was feeling like an emotional punching bag, and it didn't seem like she was done swinging. So I thought, why not spend some time with my friends? They always know how to distract me from the chaos that was my life. My friends organized a game night at my apartment, and I was so ready for it. I had been cooped up in my head for long enough. so I needed a good distraction. The game night was actually a blast. We played some crazy board games that went on for hours, drank way too much caffeine, and honestly, I forgot about all the drama for a bit. I had just started to feel like myself again when, out of nowhere, I received a text from my girlfriend asking to meet. Like, really? Now? We had been on shaky ground, and now she wanted to meet? I didn't even know what to think. I responded, and we arranged to meet at a local diner where we used to have late-night talks. The place holds so many memories, and now we were about to add another layer of awkwardness to it. At the diner, she started off by apologizing for everything that had happened and insisted she wanted to make things right. Typical. I listened, but honestly, I was still processing all the hurt from the past events. I mean, how could I not be? We discussed our relationship, but it felt like we were just going in circles. Same arguments, different day. One evening, she invited me to a friend's birthday party, hoping to rekindle our connection. It was a nice gesture, but I wasn't sure it would fix things. At the party, the atmosphere felt tense, and we barely interacted. It was like we were two strangers in the same room, trying to avoid eye contact. I noticed her laughing and chatting with a group of friends, including the school friend she had kissed, the one who had stirred all this drama. I felt the weight of the situation, but I chose to stay calm. Not gonna let this get to me. I stepped outside for some fresh air, and that's when I accidentally overheard her talking to a mutual friend. She mentioned how she was still figuring out her feelings and didn't know what she wanted. Wow, really? After everything? That night, I left the party feeling more confused than ever. I spent the following week thinking about what to do next. I didn't want to keep going in circles. I decided to talk to her about our future and outline what I needed from her. We met at a coffee shop where I expressed my need for honesty and clarity. She agreed, but seemed hesitant when I asked about her feelings for the school friend. A few days later, I got a call from her saying she wanted to talk urgently. My heart sank. We met at a nearby park where she revealed she had been spending time with the school friend again. She claimed it was innocent, just hanging out as friends. Yeah, right. I didn't believe her for a second. I decided to take a break from her to clear my head. During this break, I leaned on my family for support, especially my sister, who understood the situation. She had always been my go-to person, and she never judged me for what I was going through. My sister invited me to her place for dinner to distract me from my worries. At dinner, my sister mentioned that our parents were concerned about my well-being. They had every right to be. A few days later, I got a message from the school friend asking to meet up. My first instinct was to ignore it, but I figured we needed to clear the air about the past and the kiss. So we met at a local bar where the school friend explained his side of the story. He swore that he had no idea we were still together and that it was just a kiss. I felt uneasy, but I listened to his perspective. I finally decided to confront my girlfriend one last time. She had to know that I was done with the games. We met at the same diner again, but this time the mood was heavy. I could feel it in my bones. She admitted to having deeper feelings for the school friend, which left me stunned. There it was, the truth. I realized that despite our history, she wasn't willing to commit to our relationship. We had been through so much together, and she was still choosing to play with my heart. I left the diner feeling a mix of resignation and determination to move on. I had enough, and I was done. In the following weeks, I focused on rebuilding friendships and finding peace. I needed to get back to being me, the me who wasn't entangled in this mess. One day, I got a call from my sister saying our parents wanted to have an important family meeting. My stomach dropped. What now? The family meeting revealed that our parents were separating, which added to my stress. Just what I needed, the cherry on top of my emotional Sunday. I decided to cut ties with my girlfriend for good, knowing it was the right choice. Edit. I ended things with my girlfriend after learning she had feelings for the school friend. My parents are separating, adding more stress. Am I the idiot for exposing my husband's financial blunders at a family dinner? We have been married for 3.5 years and have an almost 3-year-old child together. We both work. I live abroad in my husband's country. Before getting married, We had no financial issues and were both easily able to cover our bills. We lived together for a year before getting married with zero problems. Shortly before our son was born, we bought a house and a car. Since then, we have been swamped with daycare bills, huge increases in our mortgage interest, home maintenance and renovation costs. We live in a housing cooperative, so have expensive electricity costs and general inflation of the cost of living. We earn roughly the same amount of money and split our costs equally, but I have more savings in the bank. He is responsible for certain bills, daycare, electricity, groceries, and I am responsible for others, mortgage, other house costs, insurance. I have often relied on him for support with life administration because he is a native speaker of the language here, and I am not. I now feel this was a big mistake. In the past year, my husband has made probably 3 major mistakes that have added up to costs in the 5-figure euro range. Firstly, he forgot to pay the electricity bills, blaming the fact that he had changed his phone number and the reminders didn't reach him. He only realized when our electricity was shut off and we had to borrow money from family to pay 2,000 euros to the company to have it switched back on and repay the debt. We have also been pursued by debt collection agencies for daycare invoices that he says he has paid and that I paid my share of to him. He maintains that there has been an error and that he did pay them, but at this point, I have to question if he is being truthful. He is unable to provide receipts because he lost the original invoices, and the payments he says he made are not on his bank statements. He blames a bank cyber attack, which has been on the news and is a known issue affecting about 50,000 people in the country right now, so it's not completely baseless. I can see he is having technical problems with his banking app. I begged him for over a year to sort this out and nothing has happened. He says he has made phone calls, but nothing actually got fixed. Because of this, I was pursued for the debt and had to pay 1,700 euros out of my own savings. Lastly, I recently discovered that we are overpaying for daycare. Daycare here is charged according to income, and we have been paying the maximum amount. I assumed that was correct, especially since it is so much lower than we would pay in my home country. But have now found out we are in fact eligible for free daycare, so we have been overpaying this whole time. He was responsible for making the income declaration in the first place, so this is again his fault. We have overpaid by 8,000 euros and we cannot get that money back, only a reduction on future fees. I can't decide if my husband is simply incompetent or if he has been actively lying to me. Either way, it's not good. These costs add up to 1/6 of our entire household income before tax, and they were all completely avoidable. I have been working my butt off and constantly stressing about money, not being able to save anything because of having to pay these costs. I feel furious that I have had to carry this financial burden. I blame myself for trusting him in the first place. Of course, we have talked about it. I suggested that we go to counseling, but I'm not sure he sees the seriousness of the situation because he doesn't think it's necessary. I don't want to get divorced, but it's hard to see how I can continue like this. My question now is, how can I ever trust him again, and how can we move forward from here? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Well, you are correct that he is one of those two things. I suppose for now you should just hope he is incompetent. The first thing you should do is handle all of the administration of your shared finances. I don't mean you should pay all of the expenses yourself. I mean being the person in charge of making sure it's all paid, etc. If certain things require translation or speaking the native language, direct him to do those specific tasks and report back to you. Since all of that administration requires effort, he should be put in charge of some other type of household duty or chore. Comment 2. He doesn't get to decide what is necessary to remedy his egregious mistakes. The fact that he is so unwilling to admit the seriousness of all this and work to make it right is possibly even worse than the actual financial decisions. You can't trust him. It would be foolish to trust him. He has given you literally no reason to do so, and he doesn't sound like he cares about all the stress this causes you. I really want you to think about that he does not care, and he has told you he will not work to change any of this. Now for the update. I'm 3 months late with this update, but honestly, you didn't miss much. The financial chaos is still the big issue, just sitting there, and no one knows how to fix it. My husband keeps acting like we're in a Disney movie where everything's perfect in his world. He flat out refuses to talk about counseling. Everything is fine, he says, smiling like an idiot. No, everything is not fine. We're drowning in financial mismanagement, and he's acting like he owns the place. My savings are disappearing fast because I'm constantly bailing us out of the messes he's made. It's like I'm throwing money away. His family decided to plan a big Christmas gathering, inviting everyone, including my family. My parents, trying to help, gave us a significant amount of money to help with bills. They thought it would ease our burden. It was a nice gesture, but my husband accepted the gift without even mentioning it to me. Typical. At the Christmas dinner, he was the star of the show. He couldn't stop boasting about his recent, smart financial decisions, and I was ready to throw my turkey at him. He casually mentioned that he was considering taking out a loan to invest in a business idea that he hadn't even discussed with me. A business idea? What business idea? Does he think he's some kind of entrepreneur now? A week after Christmas, I found out that he hadn't just taken the loan, but he'd also missed another daycare payment. I found a collection notice in the mailbox, and I swear my heart stopped. He brushed it off like it was nothing. "Oh, it's just a minor issue," he said, waving his hand. "Minor issue? This is a huge issue." He then blamed the daycare for being disorganized. Of course, it's always someone else's fault with him. At this point, I was done. I decided to take matters into my own hands and started researching the daycare's policies. I found out about their refund process and realized that the overpayment was even larger than we thought. I brought it up to him, and he dismissed it, saying it wasn't a priority. Not a priority? Are you kidding me? This money could help us pay off some of our bills. So I filed the paperwork for the refund without telling him. A few weeks later, I got a confirmation that the daycare had approved the refund. I was so relieved. I planned to use the refund to pay off the overdue bills. Meanwhile, my husband was still making dumb financial decisions, like they were going out of style. I started secretly tracking our family finances, documenting each mistake. It was eye-opening. I uncovered a pattern of negligence that I had been overlooking for way too long. During a family dinner at the in-laws, my husband was at it again. He was boasting about his financial strategy, and I wanted to scream. I decided it was time to confront him publicly. I shared the tracking details during dinner, laying out the financial mismanagement in front of everyone. His face turned red, and I felt a little bad, but not really. Relatives started questioning his decisions, and he tried to defend himself. It was like watching a deer in headlights. The atmosphere at the dinner shifted from festive to awkward. His mom asked him directly about the loan and the missed payments. She looked worried, and so did everyone else. Feeling cornered, he finally admitted to the mistakes, but tried to blame external factors. The family was silent. I think they were in shock. He looked defeated. I suggested that we should consider separating our finances to prevent future issues. He reluctantly agreed. I think he realized he could no longer hide behind his mistakes. The next day, I got a call from the daycare confirming that the refund was on its way. Finally, some good news. My husband now faces the reality of his actions and the consequences that follow. It's about time he wakes up. Edit. Some people are wondering why I didn't separate our finances earlier. I did suggest it before, but he was against it, saying we should be a united front. I also didn't feel comfortable doing it without his consent. As for the Christmas gift from my parents, it was around 5,000 euros. It's a lot, but we needed it at the time. I didn't mention the amount before because it wasn't the main issue. He did pay me back half of it eventually. Am I the idiot for confronting my ex and former best friend after discovering their secret relationship? I am still utterly heartbroken, but want to somehow heal, find peace, thrive, and hopefully even love again. My husband of 30 years left me 4 years ago, 4 weeks after our best friends split up. He didn't really give any clear reasons, just saying he'd changed. Over the next year, he did come back very briefly a couple of times, and we went on a holiday together at the end of 2021. Apart from that, after he left, he more or less cut me off completely, sending me a text in early 2022 saying he wanted to proceed with the divorce after all. He only contacted me in matters relating to the divorce after that, although one of our adult children got ill, so I did have to reach out to him about that. The divorce finally went through in May 2023, and I had become a lot stronger by then. However, a week later, I got a phone call from a friend to say that he was seeing the woman who had been my closest friend for years. We had socialized with her and her husband for 20 years, going on multiple holidays together and doing everything with the four of us. We'd shared amazing times. As time went on, I was drip-fed snippets which highlighted the fact that they had been seeing each other since we first split. Funnily enough, she said that she hadn't wanted to see me shortly after my husband left me, giving a flaky excuse that it reminded her of her old life. Finding out about them took me back to square one. It ended the life of me, and I struggled so badly with it. Then early this year, they must have broken up as he started getting friendly with me again, hinting at a reconciliation. This went on until mid-May when he went quiet again. Then I found out that they were back together again, and once again, I'm back to square one. It's totally destroyed me, and I struggle to get through each day. They're swanning about happily as if they've done nothing wrong, while I feel like my whole future has been taken from me. It doesn't help that we live in a small town, and so I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, thinking I may bump into them. I'm 56, and my happily settled life with the love of my life has changed in every way possible. Also, they seem to have it all. They're very secure financially. They have, or appear to have, a loving, happy relationship. They're both retired, enjoying their free time, going on holidays, and so on. I, on the other hand, am living alone, having to go back to work, whereas I was semi-retired before. I'm not bad financially. You could say I'm asset-rich and cash-poor from the settlement, so I will be able to sell the house and downsize. But whichever way you look at it, my financial position has changed drastically. Sorry, sounds negative, and I know I shouldn't compare, but unfortunately, it is a fact that the life we had built together and the future we had planned over has been taken from me. Will I ever get over this? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You are in limbo, and that's why you can't heal. You are still hopeful for a future with him, so you stay stuck. You have to let him go. Choose yourself. How do you do that? Here are my suggestions. 1. Move or downsize. This accomplishes multiple things. You get out of the small town, the gossip mill, etc. It also frees up some assets for you to pursue things you enjoy. Pick a place that makes you happy. 2. Consider changing jobs to something you enjoy. I understand being bitter that you have to work, but if you can free up some assets, maybe you can take a pay cut and do something you enjoy more. 3. Be selfish. What have you always wanted? A pink living room? 3 dogs? A mohawk? Do something that appeals to you but is hard to do when you have a spouse to answer to. Find joy in having 100% autonomy. 4. Block social media and/or any platform where you can see what they're up to. Wounds can't heal if they're picked open over and over again. Comment 2. First thing is to block them all on social media if you haven't already. If you have friends who are still telling you stories about them, you need to talk to these people and tell them to stop, and that gossiping about your ex and his girlfriend doesn't help you at all. Next, I would absolutely be looking to move. It doesn't have to be super far away if you have family and friends in the area. But not seeing them and not feeling paranoid when you're outside will help a ton in your healing process. Once you move, take lots of time for your self-healing. Definitely start therapy and find a good therapist you click well with. Journaling, reading self-help books, and books about self-discovery and improvement can help. Being physically active, exploring a new job, hobby, or volunteering can also be beneficial. A makeover can even do wonders, like a new hair color or a new wardrobe. I absolutely feel for you. I hope you get some good advice here. Now, for the update. I'm going to share what happened after I found out my ex was dating my friend. 3 days after I found out, my ex texted me asking to meet up. I was like, really? But I agreed because I wanted some closure and to understand what was going on in his mind. We met at this quiet diner downtown the kind of place that used to be our thing back in the day. He walked in looking a bit nervous, but friendly. I was half expecting him to bring up his new relationship right away, but he didn't. He started talking about how much he missed me and reminisced about our old times, which was pretty much a trip down memory lane I didn't want to take. Then he hit me with this idea of being friends. He was like, "I really want you in my life. I just can't live without you in my life." I could not roll my eyes hard enough. I asked him about his current relationship, and he said it was complicated. That's all he gave me, no details. Then, out of nowhere, the convo got awkward when he mentioned my closest friend's name. I couldn't help but notice he avoided eye contact whenever he talked about our past. The next day, I bumped into my closest friend at the grocery store. We exchanged pleasantries, but she was acting weird. It was like she was hiding something, and I wasn't wrong. I overheard her on the phone whispering about a big decision. Later that week, I got an invitation to her birthday party. I thought, what the heck, I'll go. Maybe it'll help clear my mind or something. At the party, guess who shows up? My ex, looking all cozy with my friend. They were laughing and sharing inside jokes, and I felt like a total outsider. As the night went on, I noticed my friend disappearing with my ex multiple times. I was getting curious, so I discreetly followed them to the backyard. I overheard them talking about plans to travel together, like I wasn't even there. I couldn't hold back anymore, so I confronted them. They looked caught off guard. My friend stammered excuses while my ex tried to play it cool. I pointed out the betrayal, and my friend finally admitted they had been seeing each other for months. My ex tried to downplay it, saying it was no big deal. I left the party in a huff, leaving them stunned. The next morning, I decided to take action and called up a mutual acquaintance. I wanted the scoop on what was going on. I found out my ex had been spending money on trips and gifts for my friend. I gathered evidence of their activities over the last few months, including photos and messages. I waited for the right moment to confront my friend again. At a coffee shop a week later, I casually brought up the birthday party. She seemed uneasy, and I revealed what I knew. Her face went pale, and she looked panicked. I laid out everything I had, and it was like watching her face drain of color. The confrontation escalated, and we ended up having a loud scene in the coffee shop. Everyone turned to watch as I exposed the betrayal in front of a crowd. She fled the shop in tears. My ex later contacted me, demanding to know what happened. I told him that the truth always comes out and to stay away from my life. I'm feeling a mix of relief and anger, honestly. I thought I was going to be all broken up over this, but the truth is, I'm just tired of the games and the drama. Like, what was I expecting, right? I'm glad I stood my ground and didn't let them make me feel like the bad guy. It's just so lame that they thought I would be okay with being their backup friend or whatever. I'm over it. Time to focus on me and find people who actually value me. Thanks for the support, everyone. You guys are the real ones. Take care. Edit. I realized that my ex and my friend have been together for a while. They were hiding it from me. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.